And it's our pleasure now to welcome into the show, I think this is his first time ever technically on the Hoffman Show, but a guy that we've been having on for years and years, back to his days at the Washington Post. He's with ESPN now, and he's out in Las Vegas for USA basketball training camp. It's Tim Bontempts. Tim, what's up, dude? How are you?
I'm doing well, Hoffman. How are you?
Doing well. It's, I had this conversation with Golliver yesterday. It's very hot and swampy here, and then he told me it was 120 degrees there, and I guess I felt a little bit better, but not much.
Right now, as I pulled up my phone to answer the call, it was 114 with a high of 116, and it was outside for about 90 seconds outside the arena, and it took me about 10 minutes to cool off once I got back inside. It was definitely steamy out here in the oven that is Las Vegas this week.
Yes, and all the NBA folks are used to it because y'all are all out there for Summer League every year, and yet the NBA still sends you there for Summer League every single year.
Be nice if it was in San Diego, Craig. That's what I would say.
I think
San Diego.
I think that's great. Toronto, I hear, is lovely this time of year. Like there's got to be literally anywhere but the middle of the desert in July.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of San Diego, the San Diego State alum. See what we did there? That's professional transition, Bontempts.
Very professional transition.
Kawhi Leonard is out of the Paris Olympics. Derrick White is going to be the substitute. When did you start hearing about, let's just focus on Kawhi for a second, then we'll get to White and some of the other ramifications there. But when did you start hearing that there was a real problem potentially for Kawhi Leonard? And ultimately, who is involved in making the decision for him not to play in Paris?
Well, this isn't something that's really come out of the blue at all. I mean, my colleague Adrian Wojnarowski reported a month ago during the finals that if Kawhi was unable to play in the Olympics, that Derrick White would be the replacement. And, remember, go back to April, Kawhi was playing against the Mavericks in the first round of the playoffs, looked awful in Game 3 of that series, got shut down by the Clippers for the final 3 games of what wound up being a 6-game loss in the first round to the Mavericks, who went on to make the finals, of course. And he himself said in interviews over the weekend with us here in Las Vegas that it wasn't really until 2 weeks ago that he was able to get on the court fully and that he thought he'd actually be able to play. So the idea that Kawhi, after a few days of practice here, wasn't able to make it to Paris is not stunning. There were mixed reviews on how he looked coming out of camp. Lawrence Frank and Mark Hughes, 2 of the top officials with the Clippers, were here in Vegas to watch him practice. Ty Lue, his coach with the Clippers, is obviously an assistant on Steve's staff. There's a lot of people involved here in determining how this is going to go. And I just think ultimately this is the day you're going to make a decision on what to do with guys, because Team USA is flying tomorrow to Abu Dhabi, literally on the other side of the world, to begin their exhibition, their international portion of their exhibition schedule ahead of the Paris Olympic Games. And so if you were going to make a change to the roster, this is the time to do it. And so, I think it makes sense that you go through training camp, you make a decision, then you move forward. And while it's unfortunate for Kawhi, who, guys on the team were excited to have him here, and he was pretty excited about the opportunity to be in the Olympics. Obviously, it's, if you're going to replace him with somebody, having a guy like Derrick White, one of the best two-way guards in the league, an elite off-ball three-point shooter, tremendous defender, can guard multiple positions, can handle the ball, do a little bit of everything. Just sliding a guy like that in casually, who'd probably be the second or third best player at worst on a lot of the teams in the tournament. It's a pretty good option to have in terms of needing a replacement for a guy like Kawhi.
Yeah, no doubt. And he's so freaking basketball smart that him coming in last minute is not going to be any kind of issue. I don't know whether was he there with the select team? Like, has he been around this team, or will it be some kind of crash course for Derrick White when he joins the team, presumably now in Abu Dhabi?
No, I mean, I reported earlier today on SportsCenter that he's been at his camp in Parker, Colorado, where he's from this week, and he was actually, I believe, supposed to go to the ESPYs tomorrow.
Whoops.
I think Boston might be up for team of the year. I'm honestly not sure.
It's okay, Tim. We won't tell your bosses. It's fine. You're doing your job.
Yes, things have been a little hectic here in Vegas, but he is. Now he will not be going to Los Angeles, presumably. He'll be getting on a plane to Abu Dhabi sometime in the next, between 24 to 48 hours. So, obviously a whirlwind thing for him. He just signed a massive contract extension a couple of weeks ago, not even a week ago, I should say. Over the weekend, he officially signed a $125 million contract extension. He obviously won a title a few weeks ago for the first time in his career, and now has a chance to to go win a gold medal in Paris. So certainly, like for a lot of these guys, it's been a whirlwind for Derrick White. And yeah, like you said, I mean, he's a phenomenal player, great guy. Will fit into this group very easily. Obviously, played with Drew Holiday and Jason Tatum for the past year with the Celtics. So I think it's an easy choice and a very easy guy to slide in to what's obviously an incredible Team USA roster going to Paris.
Tim Bontempts, reporter for ESPN, with us here on the Hoffman Show. So, Tim, I'm sure you have seen the eyeball emojis from Jaylen Brown, of course, Tatum and White and Drew Holiday's teammate with the Celtics, who also would be one of the names that you would think would be in consideration to replace Kawhi Leonard if they wanted to go more positionally like for like. What did you make of that, and was Brown ever in consideration? I know you guys have reported for a while that White was the guy, but like, what do we make of the Jaylen Brown emoji tweets, which is a thing that I can't believe I just said out loud and sounds so incredibly dumb when you say it out loud, but it's 2024 and that's the question.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, to be totally candid, I saw the tweet. I don't have a lot to say about it really, other than for the last month, my working operating belief has been that if Kawhi Leonard isn't going to be here, that Derrick White is. And so I don't know how far down the list Team USA went beyond that. I'm sure they considered Jaylen. He's played for Team USA before. But, that's all I really know for sure is that if Kawhi or presumably anybody else wasn't going to be able to play, that Derrick was the guy they had targeted as the guy to play in his place and be part of this. And so I'm not at all surprised that as this played out, that was the direction Team USA went in.
Yeah, and I will put on my responsible journalist hat for a moment, because we don't know that Jaylen Brown is not eyeballing that, hey, Derrick White's going to make the team. Look, it's another Celtic. It's another one of my teammates. That's the thing about reporting on emojis, which a lot of people wind up doing these days, is that we actually don't know what the player means until he gets asked a very silly question like I just asked you, Tim, about it at a press conference, and then they typically give a fairly plausible explanation.
Yeah, we'll find out probably later this year when, whenever Jaylen gets in front of the microphones again. I'm sure we'll hear about whatever the reasoning was. But, yeah, I think, for Team USA, I think they're less concerned about that and more concerned about getting ready to play Canada tonight and the rest of the off-season. Or the rest of the Olympic season, I should say. For sure.
We talked a little bit earlier in the week about Cooper Flagg on the show, but I know you were there watching that scrimmage as well. Just how good was the 17-year-old that the Wizards and all the other bad teams in the league are going to try to take as hard as they can for this year?
I'm sorry, you cut off for a second, Craig. What'd you say?
I asked about what you saw in the Cooper Flagg game and what you've seen from Flagg is as much as you've been able to watch him this week, with obviously eyes here in D.C. on him, hopefully, as the Wizards are going to be unintentionally or perhaps intentionally tanking in 2025.
He was incredibly impressive here. He's been incredibly impressive. He's really poised. I think, he certainly impressed the guys with Team USA. There's been a lot of, praising comments of him and his play. And I think, he certainly justified his billing as the number one pick projected in the 25 draft. And he's also a guy that, he looks the part in every way. And, as a 6'10" forward who's competitive and, can do just about everything with the ball and is a good defensive player and plays with an attitude and an edge. And the thing that impressed me about him was in talking to him, he was not overawed by the moment of being out there with Joel Embiid and LeBron James and Steph Curry and Kevin Durant and all these guys. Obviously he sounded like a teenager because he's not even 18 and doesn't turn 18 until December,
right,
which is pretty remarkable to think about. When he was born, Kevin Durant was a freshman in college, and LeBron James was in his fourth NBA season and en route to his first trip to the NBA Finals. That's how young he is compared to these guys. He played like a guy who'd been around, and that was, I think, what was really the thing that stood out to the players who have all talked about it was hey, this guy looked like he belonged as a kid, and that's pretty impressive. So super bright future for Cooper. Excited to see what he looks like at Duke this year when they've got a loaded team. And, I think if he's not the number one pick in next year's draft, which is a loaded draft, he's going to go off the board really quick, and I think somebody's going to be really excited to have him as part of their franchise for a very long time.
No doubt. All right, last thing real quick for Tim Bontempts, ESPN NBA reporter, joining us from Las Vegas here on the Hoffman Show. For the local team, they do have an Olympian. Bilal Coulibaly is going to be on the roster for France. And I'm just curious, Tim, with your career covering not only the NBA but international basketball, how big is it for a young player, whether it's for Team USA or in Bilal's case, France, to get this kind of international experience as a kind of a growth jumping off point at a critical point in their career, which Bilal is at, with him having probably a lot more responsibility in Washington next year?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, it's an amazing opportunity. I mean, you see over and over again, guys are part of the select team with Team USA and take a big jump. And then guys play for the U.S. national team and take a big jump. I mean, just look at last summer, right? Guys like Anthony Edwards and Tyrese Halliburton went and played for Team USA. And even though the team finished fourth in the World Cup, got a ton of great experience, played against elite competition, came back the next year and took massive jump forwards as players, right? Both those guys were in consideration for being first-team All-NBA at different points last year and was on the MVP ballot at different points last year. So certainly just a really great opportunity for him to play at a high level. And, it's going to, for all those guys, for Victor Wembanyama and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the Canadian team. And you go down the list, like playing in the Olympics and under this microscope and under this kind of pressure, it's just great experience for everybody involved. And we've seen over the years, it's led to guys really taking big jumps forward in the future. And, for the Wizards going forward with Coulibaly and Sarr and, whoever they get, certainly because they're going to be near the top of next year's draft, which has got a ton of really good players as part of it. There's a lot to be excited about. And, it's going to be some lean years from a wins perspective here for the next couple of years. But the Wizards are building a foundation of something that I think's got a chance to be pretty good in the future, and look forward to seeing how it goes.
For sure. Tim Bontempts, everybody. Catch him on SportsCenter reporting on USA Canada and the rest of the exhibition games and everything going on with USA Basketball. Tim, appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
This is The Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app.